All right, all right. We are back at the Grit Won't Quit podcast studio. I'm in Belmont, New Jersey, but we have a virtual guest today. We have Karina today. And Karina, good morning. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. When your message came through, I told this team, let's get this one booked. So let everybody know right off the start what you do so that people get, and then we're going to dig into your story and how you're making the world better.
Great. So I created the company Autism Workforce Solutions. I am autistic myself. And what we do is we help companies speak autism, right? We help companies hire autistic people and also keep them, right? I think there's a lot of turnover when it comes
Mhm.
to autistic employees, and we help them with that.
So let's just dig into that right off the bat. Why do you think that there is a high turnover of autistic employees?
A lot of either the management or the teams, they're not prepared to understand how our brains work, right? So then the environment becomes very toxic, or the environment becomes kind of, we cannot do it anymore, and we end up quitting. So that is the big potential out there as well. It's not just hiring, it's keeping the employees.
So do you think that it's how management is setting their directives? Do you think it's how the autistic community needs to get kind of guidance and help? Where do you think the disconnect is, and how do you go in and kind of help transition that or help
Yeah,
fix
so
that?
I think it's society at large. The way society obviously is developed is having the neurotypical brain in mind, right? So the way that we do things is always focused on neurotypical brains. Our brains are very different; they're wired very differently, so we perceive things differently, and we also handle things differently. So when it comes to employment, the way that the teams and management goes about is also about the neurotypical brain when it doesn't work for us. So also I think society still has in mind, like, kids, autistic
Mhm.
kids, they're still learning how to, be in society and how to understand their brains. When it comes to adults, we have no support anymore. So that's the disconnect. I think we need help. Um Helping companies understand autistic brains and being able to employ them, and also society transitioning into just thinking of autistic kids and start thinking about autistic adults.
So I'm sure from your work experience, you have some um, history on this, some real life examples. So kind of give us an example of something, first that went, wrong from a hiring standpoint, but I'm sure that you've been motivated somewhere along the line where something went well and how that played into, where you are today and how you overcame that hurdle. So if you could just kind of dig into that a little.
Okay, so my background is in finance and business. So I was working for a bank, and I had this wonderful, most amazing manager that actually changed my life because she had experience with autism, right? In her family and whatnot. So this was literally life changing. So she understood how my brain worked, and
Mhm.
she worked with that instead of against it, right? She focused on my strengths and not what I couldn't do, right? So because of that, I won awards, and I was like a great employee.
Mhm.
What
Well, I
happened
mean,
is,
that's good management just in general because not everybody, autistic or not autistic, not everybody works the same. Like,
absolutely.
I manage 25 people at Wingman, and I have different management styles for all of them. I don't treat them all the same way because they wouldn't react the same way. They wouldn't engage the same way. I think that's part of management is understanding understanding people and understanding how to work with them to get the best desired results for both of you. Because again, an employee who can't grow is going to leave. An employee that's not
Yeah.
happy is going to leave. Sometimes you want that, but on the other side is
Yeah.
most times you don't want that, and most times you want again you don't. I always say to people, especially again along the way of some people had to get let go. But I always say to them, while we're going through the process, and even if they get a PIP or something like that, is I don't hire people to fire people. I don't hire them with the idea to let them go. My idea is that they're going to be with me for years to come. So, I think autistic or not autistic, I think management has to think about that. But I guess in the world of what autism, it's even higher
More
because
prevalent.
yeah, more
Yeah.
prevalent. Yeah. And
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
it's not having the same conversation with the same, you know, you have to think about it differently. You have to go about the
Mhm.
conversation a little bit differently.
Yeah, exactly. So it is like just a tip, that can be used in any team, right? Like what you said, you have a team and you treat people differently, right? That's should be common sense, but unfortunately is not. So, and when it
Management is
comes
a weird thing. You do good as an employee and you become a manager, but not all people want to become managers. Not all people are really built to be a manager. I think the best, my brother says it the best. He says, people have asked me over the years, why don't you manage people? He goes, I don't want to. I want to do my
Yep.
job. I want to do my job. I want to go home and I don't want to manage people and I don't want all the headaches. And he does very well at his job, but he never wanted management. He wanted to be a doer.
And
Nope,
there's nothing wrong with that. Like
nothing wrong with that.
it's fine, but it's finding those people that should be managers, that
Mhm.
can change the way that where the workforce works, right? So she was one of those people. I can never, ever, ever thank her enough. And now we go into the bad part now. So she left
Uh-huh.
and everything went downhill. Um, I heard the most horrific things. I think the worst was someone asked me if I was retarded. Um, so
That's terrible, and I'm sorry on behalf of all people that someone ever asked that question.
yeah. So I think once that happened, I was like, okay, no, something is wrong, right? Like the fact that someone feels comfortable to say that in a work environment, there's something wrong with society, right? So going from that, I was like, okay, let me try to find a different job. And I am pro disclosure. This is my personal opinion. I am pro disclosure when it comes to my diagnosis. It's the first thing I say, hi, I'm autistic, but don't let that deter you, right? Here are my
Mhm.
qualifications. So just because I don't want to be put in a position where I was before with people that don't understand it and will mistreat me. So I was looking for jobs like crazy, and I couldn't find it. So that's when I came with the idea. I'm like, this is something that we need help with. We need to help companies hire autistic people and keep them, right? So I decided, you know what? If nobody is doing it, I will do it.
Mhm.
And obviously, I don't want anyone, any autistic people or non autistic people, to go through what I've been through or to be called names. And, I just want us to belong. So, yeah.
Understood. So now your company, kind of tell us what some of the things you're doing with it are so that we can understand, and people that are interested. Again, I think that the lion's share of people that watch this podcast are business owners. So kind of how can they get involved? How could they, if they want to hire through
An
you or,
autistic.
or an autistic
Yeah.
person? And again, I think there's some staggering results out there, not staggering, not in a good way, of the amount of unemployed in the autistic community, if you could shed some light on that.
Yeah. So 80% of autistic people are unemployed or underemployed. That's a
So when you say
huge
80% of
community.
underemployed or unemployed, that's of the population of like 21 plus, or like what is that
Yes.
stat?
Yes. Yes. It's adults.
Adults.
So, um, it is a huge population, right? Where
Yeah.
people are missing out on so much talent, right? The way I see it is because our brains work differently. We're very creative, we're very innovative. So we can be a huge asset to any team. Um, One thing I also decided to kind of do is I wrote a book. Yay.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
called yeah, it's called a practical guide to autism the workplace and is
Okay.
exactly that. Practical guide. So that's kind of how our brains work. We say what we mean, right? And so that is a little bit of a help, just to kind of get you started. Like, there are like worksheets and things like that where you can kind of see where you should be thinking, how you should be thinking, and things like that. But I also, think we need something a bit bigger when it comes to um, the companies, right? So how I help is I help from how you set up the post, because posts, like hiring posts, are so troubling for us. For example, when I'm looking at a post, let's say they're asking you to have five things, right? You have to have this five components, and then uh, we're good. If I Unless I have all five, I wouldn't apply. And but how, the companies think, it's like, well, if you have three out of five, you're good to go. That's not how our brains work, right? So then I wouldn't apply and wouldn't have that chance, for example. That's one
But
of the
meanwhile,
things.
people
But
apply for jobs that they're totally not qualified every day of the week.
exactly. So that is the misconnect, right?
Yep, sure.
So yeah, I help from like the job posting, to the hiring process, to actually how to conduct the actual interview, and then with onboarding, and with actually keeping up and like having that feedback and keeping that employee long term, right?
That's
So
great.
uh yeah. hmm
And how long have you been
I
doing this?
A year.
And do you love it?
I love it. I love it. This is truly what I was born to do. I
And
think
and I mean, such a great, like, after having that great boss and then, them leaving the bank, like, I feel like this was just like a great
destiny.
shoe in for you because
Yep.
you kind of I don't know, it just seemed like it was meant to be after that.
Yep. Yeah. I think it was definitely meant to be, because that's how I found out something that I'm actually passionate about and I'm very good at, right? So I think the way my brain functions is I always try to be efficient and try to find efficiency in things. And once I saw that, I was like, this is a huge gap. This is something that needs to be fixed, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, then I jumped right into it, and, I've been doing it and I love it. And I hope more people want to join this change.
Yep.
So, mhm.
That's great. So now where do you see yourself taking this
So I want to change the world. I want to
I
change how
love it.
the world sees autistic people. I have been in talks with senators when it comes to policies, and I want to change that. I want to introduce new policies, and I want to make sure that autistic people never have to go through what I went through. So I am not just obviously helping the companies. That is obviously what I do, but I want to make that change bigger. I wanted to reach Senate, and yeah, and the policies that we have.
That's fantastic. What has been the feedback so far from the people that you're meeting, both the potential employees, the employers, as well as just kind of what's been you know what how have people been
Feedback.
reacting?
Oh my God, I didn't know that such a little change can do so much. And I was like, yeah. It's very inexpensive, right? It's not huge changes when it comes, like, we don't need like crazy things, right? We need little tweaks in the way teams work, right? Which is free. So I think the biggest feedback was like, oh my God, I had to invest so little in this, right? And it's amazing. Like, the biggest feedback that I always get is my autistic employee is my best employee. So,
That's
I,
such great.
yeah.
And how do you replicate that? How do you make it so that more people want to do this? More people want to hire from the autistic community?
So, you know, I I am very aware. Obviously, all companies run on like financial gains, right?
Hmm.
So that is kind of what I have been trying to put out there is hiring an autistic person can be a very good financial decision because again, we can be so good at what we do that this person will bring so much money back, right? That's the side that I'm trying to change on people's brains. But on top of that is just making sure like in a macro environment when it comes to like, the macro view is autistic people right now 80% being unemployed or underemployed. We're on disability or we are on some sort of welfare, right? And that's not good, right? That's an economic change that needs to be changed. So when it comes to that, I want to make sure that, we're all able to work and have fulfilling lives. So it is a macro decision instead of just focusing on the little company. But I just think if you're talking about just the company side, it's just, you can be amazed to what we can bring, innovations, different ideas that you could never think of, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. And that's how I try to convince them. It is a financial it's a good financial decision for you to hire us.
That's awesome, and that's great that you're showing the financial side of it. You know, and I think that as you are seeing, like you're seeing that people are turning into great employees, and I think you have to showcase these testimonials so that people understand and business owners understand what's possible.
Absolutely. So obviously when I work, I love to give myself as an example. Because when I was working with that great manager, uh I won the yearly award, I won the quarterly award, and I transitioned an entire business from a paper base to an online system in a day. So that's pretty impressive, right? I don't think I don't want to say a neurotypical person couldn't do it, but most likely couldn't do it the way I did it. So um I am my own best advocacy
Hmm.
tool, I would say. So and they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it." And that is true. Like when it comes to like different ways of thinking and solving problems differently, that is the feedback that I get. "Oh my god, I could never thought about that." And then we are like, "Hey, yeah, but that was the first thing we thought." So it's just it brings innovation, brings problem solving. It's just a good decision. Period.
I love it. So now you were inspired by a podcast that we had recently done with Shane Clayton. You said when we were off camera. So tell me more about what inspired you. About shout out to my buddy Shane Clayton from Zoom Drain. What inspired you about his podcast?
So I loved how he came and he said, I have no background in plumbing, but that is the business I decided to go into.
Yep.
So I think we all could really relate to that when it comes like to autistic employment. We're kind of like, hey, we are in here in this situation that we have no clue what we're doing because this entire society is not made out for us and we're just winging it and we're trying the best that we can. I think it was very inspirational for us because seeing someone that I would assume he's a neurotypical person, um they go through the same. So and his outcome was amazing, right? So I think it was very inspirational because of that. So
He's a good guy too. He's one of those guys that you can always count on.
yep. Hey Shane, if you do want to hire autistic people, hit me up.
I will make sure that that message personally gets back to Shane. I know him. I know him well. We work very close in proximity to each other, so I will let him know. So now, for the next steps, and for when you think about this conversation, what in an ideal world, what do you want the Grit Won't Quit guests and the Wingman team to understand most about what you're doing and how to get it to the next level?
Spread the word. That's one thing. I think visibility is the biggest thing for people right now. Uh, And the message is autistic people are very capable. We are not that little kid that, is portrayed in the media. I think um, the media played a big part of it in portraying autistic people as, you know, very weird, or not very capable, or nonverbal, or someone that needs huge support. We do need support, of course, but once we do get it, we are amazing people. So give us a chance. When it comes to the business that are watching, please hire autistic people. Please. We're very capable. We're very good.
Got it. So
And
let people know
mhm.
where they can find you.
Yeah. So if you want to help me in this journey, my website is autismworkforcesolutions.com. Same thing goes for my handle on Instagram and YouTube is at autismworkforcesolutions.com. And yeah, like, let's change the word together.
Let's change the world together. This was a wonderful conversation. I got a lot out of this. I learned things I didn't know. And I'm inspired for you. I'm inspired to see you do great things. I love the fact that you want to change the world. I love the fact that you realize and recognize that there's a group of people that are underemployed or not employed, and that you want to take this, this on. And in a world of financial gain and AI and all these things, that you're looking to help those that are most in need. I'm inspired by you today.
Thank you. And just like, I think my last word would be, think about, I think the last data released by the CDC is 1 in 36 kids are being diagnosed as autistic. When
Wow.
it comes to the future, that's a huge pool that will be at the workplace, right? There's no way of getting out of it. So let's get ahead of the curve
Yep.
and, help us. So
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on today. I think this was an inspiring message, and we'll be in touch to see how we can help you. And our team will reach out to you, to get to learn more. And I will. I'll also connect you with Shane, and so that you guys can see if there's some synergies there.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
I loved this conversation.
This was
Thank you.
great. Talk to you soon and continue doing great things.
Thank
Bye bye.
you.